I never know if I have to use in the end or at the end. This is one of the most common sentences I hear from my students, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to use in the end and at the end. Hello, my name is Krystallo from Crystal Clear English, and today I'm going to explain exactly how to use in the end and at the end. Let's start with in the end. In the end is a synonym of finally or eventually. We use in the end as a synonym of finally or eventually, and as such, it usually goes at the beginning or at the end of a sentence, or in the middle if it's between commas. For example, in the end, we stayed at home. Or at the end of a sentence. Now, in the middle is not very common, but of course you can do it, and it would be something like this. It was a long process, but in the end, it was worth it. So you can see here we use in the end at the beginning, at the end, or in the middle of a sentence. So that's the main use of in the end, finally, eventually. Now let's look at the end. Now, at is the preposition that we usually use for locations, and that is exactly what at the end does. It describes the location of something, whether that is in time or in a place. For example, we usually correct our homework at the end of the class. Now you see here, I'm talking about at the end of the class. Now, most of the times when we say at the end, you also have to explain. It's at the end of the class, at the end of the street, at the end of the book. Another example, there is a cliffhanger at the end of the book. Another example, we usually take holidays at the end of August. In all of these examples, I've used at the end at the end of the sentence, but you can also use it at the beginning of the sentence. For example, at the end of the day, we're all here to learn. So here we have at the end of the class, at the end of the book, at the end of August, at the end of the day. Now you can see that all of these examples include the of the day, of August, but that is not obligatory if it's already implied in the context. For example, we're going to do this class, and at the end, I'm going to give you the results of your exam, implying at the end of the class. Because I am referring to the last part of the class, that's why I can say at the end of the class, because it's not finally or eventually. It would be eventually or finally is usually telling a story and you're explaining what happened as a result, that you had a different expectation. For example, she thought she did terribly at the exam, but in the end, she got better marks than she expected. You will know the results of your exams at the end of the month. In this example, we can see that we're going to receive the results at the end of the month, at the final part of the month. So this is the difference between in the end and at the end. If you want to do some activities regarding in the end and at the end, go into our platform and do the activities. You also have the option of downloading the PDF of these notes that I have written in the description below. I hope you have found this useful. See you next time.